some Heidelberg football. This is the Scott Donaldson Show here on WTTF, AM 1600, FM 93.3, and on the web at WTTF.com. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Berg Bistro 1850 and these community-minded sponsors: Kimmel Cleaners, Harrison Price Insurance, National Machinery, Subway of Tiffin, Tiffin Brake and Wheel, and the Tiffin Buffalo Wild Wings. And now, live from the Berg Bistro on the campus of Heidelberg University, here's your host, John Kearns.
A Thursday evening here at the Berg Bistro 1850 on campus. I'm John Kearns, your host, along with head coach Scott Donaldson of the Heidelberg football team. We have a full show tonight, so sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Or if you're in the area, stop by the Berg Bistro because, Scott, as you know, they have great food and drink. Yep, I got the menu here, so I can...
Yeah? What are you getting tonight? What are you thinking about?
Well, I'm down to about 5 choices here, so... But they have nightly specials, some great appetizers, soups and salads. They have really good pizzas. They're kind of thin crust. I've had those.
It's very good.
Lots of sandwiches, probably about 12 to 15 of those. And I always like that Italian sub. That's good. Mm-hmm. Some entrees, side dishes, and their desserts, including like cheesecake and milkshakes and all that. So if you're in the area, stop by. This place is open not only for students and faculty and staff, but for the general public. So anybody can come in, and they're open early and they stay open late, with the exception of maybe this weekend, because it's the long weekend here on campus. And just so you know, tomorrow's hours 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sunday 4 to 10 p.m. But otherwise, they're open at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, and so and then stay open late on Friday and Saturday nights till about midnight. So great place to hang out. And like to thank them for their hospitality every week. And we've been doing this show here for the last several years, so we enjoy coming over. But we're working on week number 5, Coach, of the 2018 season. Heidelberg will host Marietta on Saturday afternoon. It'll be their first day game at Herman Stadium this year.
Yeah. It was our first day game was last week at Wilmington. It was weird.
Yeah, it was.
It was weird. You had to wake up early. You had to deal with the sun. It was hot. I mean, it was actually kind of some adversity we had to deal with.
Well, you got the win over Wilmington. We'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. But Marietta comes in undefeated, and we'll also talk about that game as we go along. Besides Coach Scott Donaldson, our guests will be Erik Hagedorn and Tyler Matuszak. 2 linebackers on this team doing a great job this year, and also Ethan Nichol, the assistant football coach who got hired as a full-time assistant earlier this year, and he is coaching linebackers, so we'll hear from him as well tonight. So it's linebacker night.
It is, and usually this is my night. I used to be the linebacker guy, right. And I moved down to coach the outsides of the D-line, so these guys are playing unbelievably well, and Coach Nichol does a great job, so I'm excited they're with us tonight.
All right, real good. Before we talk about the Wilmington win, let's talk about high school football. Going into week number 7. Hard to believe. I know we say that the last few weeks that the season's going along. But, well, I'll tell you what, Tiffin Columbian and Tiffin Calvert both having great seasons. And I couldn't believe last Friday night when I saw that score. I knew Columbian had a good shot of beating an undefeated Sandusky team. But 37-7.
I mean, I was at that game. Me and my kids that are here were over at that game. And going in, to be honest with you, I didn't think Columbian had much of a chance, you know. But they controlled every aspect of that game. Judd did a great job of just getting those guys some fire in them. Because I'll be honest, you look at the line comparison. I mean, Sandusky was probably bigger than Columbian by about 70 pounds a man. And Columbian just beat the crap out of them up front. I mean, they really did. They controlled every aspect. What a great job. What a game. What a win. Really excited to see the direction of this Columbian team, and really excited for Judd, too. I know last year was rough on the past couple of years, and glad to see he's finally seeing some recognition for all his hard work.
Well, they don't have much time to celebrate this week because they play at Clyde, a perennial power this coming Friday night. Clyde is always consistent. I can't remember when Clyde didn't have a good football team.
No, they're always good. And, with these kind of built-in local rivalries, it doesn't matter who's good, who's bad. It's going to be a good game.
Of course, the Heidelberg football team has a couple of Clyde graduates on their roster this year.
Yep. You saw Frank Sewell last week carry the ball and handle the kickoff duties, and obviously Baker is doing all the punting and kicking. And Jake Jenny, who his father is actually a Clyde coach. He's the O-line and D-line coach at Clyde. Isn't allowed to play anymore because of medical reasons, so he's been a great student coach for us this whole year.
So really three.
Yep.
Got two players and an assistant coach, student assistant, right?
Student assistant, yep.
Very good. So Columbian rolls on. They're 5-1 going into Clyde tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. Now, Calvert, they rolled over Marietta. Mostly in the second half. The game was close during the first half, but Calvert rolls 49-22 on the road. They're 5-1. They'll play Danbury next, so they moving along as well.
Yeah. They got some great athletes in the backfield, and they're wearing teams down. And I hate to say it, I know a couple Danbury coaches, but this should be a game where a lot of the guys are out in the first half.
Yeah, they've had kind of a rough season, giving up a lot of points. But it's a very small school up there in Ottawa County, and sometimes they have competitive teams. And I think a couple years ago they actually made the playoffs for their first time in their school's history. But, it's a numbers battle for sure.
Especially when you get down and you're talking D7. I mean, not that Columbian's rolling in with a 100-man roster either, but especially when you get to the later points of the season, you get a guy hurt here or there. On a Division I football team, it doesn't hurt as bad. On a Division VII football team, one guy could mean the season.
Well, that's the thing. If you only have 15, 18, 20 guys on your roster, including freshmen, it makes it tough.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah. Other scores from last week, Mohawk had a little more trouble than I thought. They played Colonel Crawford and won that one 14-7, so they're undefeated. But hats off to Colonel Crawford for giving them a game.
And Crawford's a good team. Crawford's getting slept on a lot this year. They're a very good team with a really big offensive line and some good athletes.
Mohawk will play Bucyrus next tomorrow night. Seneca East really had no problem with Winford, 47-14, so that scored a little surprising. And they'll play another toughie. The 3 weeks in a row. They played Mohawk, Winford. Now they play at Cary.
Yep, and that's obviously a pretty big rivalry between the towns there, between Attica and Cary and Republic and all that. So that'll be a hard fought game. I can see that game going down to the wire.
Hopewell Loudon beat Van Loo 53-6. At one time, and it may still be this way today, but Van Loo, I think, was a small school in the state that played football.
Really?
Just a really small school, and they take their lumps, but they're out there competing. But lost that one to Hopewell Loudon. But now here's a note: Hopewell Loudon will play. Actually, they're playing at Van Buren tonight, and the reason why they're playing tonight because sad news is that one of their recent graduates at Hopewell Loudon lost her life in an auto accident recently, and they're going to take the day off tomorrow to attend the funeral. The whole Hopewell Loudon community. So Van Buren was gracious enough to move the game at their place to tonight. So
that's really a great thing. Obviously, an absolute tragedy in such a small community, a really tight-knit community. That Hopewell Loudon community is very tight. Obviously a tragedy, but kudos to Van Buren for accommodating that.
Okay, we'll get that score later on. Eastwood beat Fostoria last week, 42-16. Gibsonburg, they're rolling along. They're only lost to Mohawk. Beat a pretty good Lakota team, 40-7. Willard got by Sandusky St. Mary, 18-13. Pandora, Gilboa, I think they're undefeated. They beat Arcadia by a bunch. And again, Norwalk and Bellevue. That's a big rivalry game. Those two schools not too far apart. And 7-0 was that final with Norwalk winning. So our colleague John Cullen, who will join us this week in the Heidelberg booth, the week before he had Clyde at Port Clinton. That was a 7-0 game.
Yep.
And he also did the call of the Norwalk Bellevue game, and that was 7-0.
You just don't hear about those games anymore. I mean, with today's offenses and the athletes all around the area, I mean, that's some great defense. And obviously, I'm a defensive guy, so I love seeing that. But that's kind of a rarity these days.
All right, so Bellevue, they're 2-4. They played a tough schedule. and they have more toughies to go for sure. But they'll play Perkins. Perkins is 1-5, but again, they're competitive. You know, that whole Sandusky Bay Conference Lake Division, you have Columbian, Norwalk, Sandusky, Clyde, Bellevue, and Perkins.
Yeah, I mean, that's
tough.
It is, and there's so many natural rivalries in that division. I love it. I love the way they did it. I think that, and I'm hoping this actual conference will stay for longer than a year or two. The way this day and age is going with all these conference realignments and everything, because there's just great football in that conference.
All right, so that's high school football. We'll talk more about that. We'll give you the scores during our pregame on Saturday afternoon. But if you can't make the game this Saturday, Marietta at Heidelberg, next door at Herman Stadium. You can tune in at 1 o'clock. That's going to be our pregame show right here on WTTF and on the web at WTTF.com. And the kickoff is at 1:30. But last week, one of the longer road trips of the year for the Student Princess down to Wilmington. That's a good 3-hour bus trip for down there. And again, for the second straight week, you get off to a good start. Scored the first time you had the ball.
Yep. The offense got fired, and I ask Coach Lewis every week, hey, what do you want to do with the coin toss? And every week he says, give me the ball. I said, all right, keep giving them the ball, and they rolled right down, and that was kind of that's what we needed to get rolling,
Yep, Trace Reynolds, a 14-yard pass to tight end Nick Kofer, and glad to see him involved. He had some catches last week. Matter of fact, he had 4 for 40 yards in that score, so nice to see him. And then next time you had the ball, or maybe later on, the running game got going with Short and Grossman. Grossman had a 7-yard touchdown run. Nice to see the two running backs with that big offensive line getting some good yardage.
Absolutely. I was so happy to see those guys get rolling because once those two, and it's funny, we talk about those two, they're like the same person. They're just giant meatheads that just yell at each other and everybody else. It's hilarious. But it's so nice to see them going because once they get going, these are two extremely talented young backs. And I'm glad to see they got some confidence behind them. And once they get into the second level, there's not many DBs that are going to want to tackle them. I mean, they're big backs and they're bruisers, and they're not going to shy away from contact. So it's really nice to see them get going and get their confidence going and into the second half of the season.
All right, so it was 14-0 with Baker's 2 extra points after the first quarter. And then I think it was the first play of the second quarter, Austin Baker with a nice 37-yard field goal. I think he's had some long ones this year, including maybe, 44 earlier this year?
44, yeah.
But this was 37.
Yep.
No problem there. Make it 17-0. And then Wilmington got started a little bit, and they scored their only touchdown the first half on a pass play of 6 yards. So he had a nice drive there.
Yep. It got a big play on us. Had a big 50-yard post that we just misplayed the ball in the air, and the kid made a great catch on it. And, obviously you don't want to ever give up points, but they have enough athletes to be able to score points on most teams.
And then the Berg scored one more touchdown before halftime. Nice to see Maceo Matthews back after missing a week due to, I believe, his grandmother's funeral, perhaps?
Yep. Grandmother passed away, so, he obviously family comes first no matter what the situation, so he came back, and I'm really excited to see him back. Maceo is going to be a star here, and he's already really starting to show it. I know Braden gets a lot of the press and a lot of the catches. Maceo is really he's going to be the future guy we're going to be talking about a lot here.
Yeah, he had that pass about 4 minutes to play before halftime, caught a 14-yarder, and then early in the third quarter he did it again, this time for 34 yards, so he gets 2 TDs.
Yep. That play was actually kind of a busted play.
I do.
It was an RPO.
I was talking about that. It was. Didn't Reynolds turn around, no one there, and he threw it?
Yeah, it was an RPO, and him and the running back weren't on the same page, and luckily Maceo got behind coverage, and Trace just kind of threw a floater up to him.
Yeah, Tony and I were talking about that. We said, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be that way, and then all of a sudden there was a touchdown. So,
well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good sometimes, I guess.
Okay, so at the point it was 31-7, and then another score by Wilmington. couple more touchdowns to wrap it up for you guys. Trace Reynolds on a 4-yard run, and Brandon Short. How about he showed his speed? He's deceptively fast. 38 yards, and he was gone.
Yeah. Once he gets in the second level, he's got a chance of going. I mean, like you said, he's deceptively speed. Just because he's so big, you don't think someone that big and that strong is going to be able to run that fast. But he can outrun DBs. He can outrun linebackers. But once he gets through that linebacker level, he's got a chance of taking it every single time. And I think with the two running backs, I think we really were able to wear them down just because every time you tackle one of those two, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And you kind of saw in that last play, the safeties kind of split and tried to go low and just bad angles, and Shorty was able to take it through. And like I said, really great to see those running backs going, and that O-line really just – they controlled this game. That offensive line really came into their own this game and just wore down that D-line.
So Austin Baker with the extra points. So final score at 44-13. Berg now at 3-1 overall and 1-1 inside the OAC. And taking a look at some of the other stats from that ball game before we wrap up this coverage, how about the good balanced attack? 280 yards on the ground, 271 through the air.
Oh, nice. Look at that. Didn't even know that. That's cool.
Yep. So 551, you ran 66 plays, and the efficiency of Trace Reynolds, 19 out of 22.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I mean, that's what I was really happy to see him do, because this wasn't a game where we needed Trace to win us the game. This was a game where we needed Trace to control the offense, control the pace, and just get first downs. And that's what he did. And that's what you want out of your quarterback. You don't want your quarterback being forced to win the game with his arm or his legs every game. You want to be able to just control the game, and that's what Trace was this game. He did an unbelievable job. Honestly, I can't even remember his 2 incompletions. He was just efficient. Everything he did was perfect,
Yep, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, and on the ground, Brandon Short, 18 carries, 139 yards, and his average per carry, 7.7.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And Jace's numbers, Jace just didn't get the carries. He averaged over 6 yards a carry, too.
That's right.
He just didn't get as many carries as Brandon did, but that's a great 1-2 punch we got rolling right now.
Braden Jerome, no touchdowns this last week, but he had 9 catches for 142 yards.
Yeah, I mean, with the offense that you run, kind of getting the short passes out there and letting the guys go, Braden catches everything. It's pretty unbelievable, and he's such a big target that, just throw the ball anywhere in the vicinity of him, he's probably going to come down with it.
And one more stat I want to pass along. I'm sure the coaches, including yourself, happy about this one. Only 3 penalties in the ball game.
That was nice. That was good. That was good. And I probably disagreed with all 3. I can promise you.
Well, sure, yeah. But it's better than 8 or 10. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So that was a good thing. Not too many yellow flags on the field.
Nope.
But solid victory. Anytime you go down and you have to go, 3-4 hours, to Marietta or Wilmington or any place really, and get off that bus and get ready to play. I thought you guys were ready to play.
Yep. Guys were ready. It came out. That was a pure 60-minute football game. And we were lucky enough to, in the fourth quarter, get some other guys out there. You saw Jimmy Gephardt take the whole fourth quarter himself, the backup quarterback. Obviously, we kind of handcuffed him a little bit. He wasn't going to throw the ball very much just because we were up by that much. We just wanted to control the clock. But getting some other guys in there, get them some burn, get them some love. You always love those kind of situations.
And defensively, we can't forget about the defense. We're going to be talking about the defense, the linebackers here coming up. But Erik Hagedorn, who will be one of our guests here tonight, he had 8 tackles to lead the way. Zach Blackiston for third or fourth straight week contributed quite a bit. 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack. Jordan Green, who was on the show last week, had 5, and right down the line. So defense got the job done.
Yep. Did exactly what we asked them to do and played extremely well. I mean, like I said, there was only a couple of big plays where they were able to get some touchdowns on us, but they did it extremely well, especially against the run. You talk about our front 6 or front 7. They did an unbelievable job controlling the line of scrimmage. I don't know the rushing stats, but I know they were less than 3 yards a carry. I mean, it was just we were able to control the game through our front 7.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Coach, we're going to let you go. We'll come back here in a little bit and talk about the Marietta game, but we're going to talk linebacking coming up next. Erik Hagedorn, Tyler Matuszak, and then also assistant coach Ethan Nichol. They're up next here on the Scott Donaldson Show. You're listening to WTTF, AM 1600, FM 93.3, on the web at WTTF.com. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Hayden Amstutz. I play O-line. I'm a senior and I'm accounting and business administration major. If you were a rapper, what would your rap name be? Probably Turbo Crunch Machine. Turbo Crunch Machine. If you could play another sport, what would it be and why? Ooh, probably basketball because I'd want to dunk on people. If you could be on a game show, which would it be and why? Chopped because cooking is awesome and I love food. Ideal vacation and who would you take with you? Probably I would go somewhere on the beach. I would take my girlfriend and Jake Nowak. If you could join a reality TV show, which would it be? Oh man, probably, I don't know, I don't watch any TV, so whatever. Shout out to my mom, my dad, Young Cheese, and my brother.
And Coach's kids, and of course Robin White here. And so a little quiet on campus tonight. I know some of the students took off for the long weekend, and they're lost, right? So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so hey, my guest right now is Tyler Matuszak. He is a linebacker, junior, wears number 29. We've called Tony, we've called his name a lot this year so far, and that's a good thing. 5'10", 190, out of Avon High School up in western Cleveland area. I know there's an Avon Lake and an Avon. Is Avon Lake your big rival?
It is our biggest rivalry
that's
there.
what I think so, yeah. But you're Avon, so yeah.
Yes.
You earned 9 letters. Here's something interesting. I did a little research. 9 letters in high school, 4 in football, 1 in basketball, 1 in baseball, and 3 in rugby.
Yes.
Now, explain to us, because I'm not sure if I've had a player on that played rugby. So explain rugby in high school.
Rugby in high school, I mean, it wasn't where we wanted to be a school sport, so I play club. So
Like a club sport.
It is club, but it's with the school.
Yep.
And I don't know if a lot of people know how to play, but it's 15 versus 15, 30-minute quarters, and it's basically football without pads.
Well, that's the thing. What are the differences and the similarities of football, American football, with rugby? Yeah, because a lot of people don't quite understand.
Well, everything has to be a backwards pass, so there's no forward passing besides kicking in rugby. So if you want to go forward, you have to kick it. But if anything, you have to go backwards with the pass. And I mean, just tackling is about the same as
Gotcha.
because the Seahawks actually teach the rugby tackle as their tackle. So
It's tackle without helmets and a lot of pads, right?
Yes, you're very sore after the games.
Okay, and so, but anyway, so you did that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You played on a very good football team for 3 years. Looking at your records, you guys made, I think maybe your sophomore year, you made the regional finals, and then after that, made the second round, almost the third round of the playoffs. Division III, maybe? Or
2.
4? Is it 2? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Division II. And according to this year, 3 years, you only lost 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. So,
Yes.
so who was your high school football coach?
My high school football coach was Mike Elder,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a great coach. I think he has very many aspects, like Coach Donaldson. And another coach, if you don't know, from Tiffin Columbian is Judd Lutz, and he coached me.
Well, very good. How about that? So 2013, 14, 15 high school, and then what led you to Heidelberg then?
My uncle actually played here on the Stag Bowl championship team. So,
72?
Yep.
Very good. All right.
He put in a good word for me, and then the coaches, obviously, they recruited me, and I loved how they just did everything and ended up coming here.
Well, you're a junior now, but your freshman year a couple years ago, you got to play in 5 games. Last year, all 10 games, and you had 25 tackles, but so far in 4 games this year, 20 tackles. You've matured, obviously, throughout the last few years. What what can you contribute to your progress as a football player?
Well, I'd have to say for the past years, it would have to be the other linebackers ahead of me that guided me, taught me everything, and I'd give them a shout out: Nick Walsh, Trevor Summers, and Shuttler. So
you had some great ones to work with,
didn't you? They've been all OAC. They're great guys, great players.
I know that, you look at defenses, you got the defensive line, they kind of stick together. You have your defensive backs, they stick together. But linebackers are kind of special, aren't you? You guys have a pretty good fraternity, don't you?
Oh, yes. I mean, Haggy, and then I got my roommate with me, Dylan Martyr, and then another Bellevue guy, Gabe Smythe, and we're all really good friends.
That's good. You're right in the middle of all the action, so you have to play not only the run but the pass, so you have to be really mentally sharp out there to read, don't you?
Yes. I mean, the linebacker position is actually evolving. I think it's not big, burly guys now. It's more athletic guys, more lightweight guys, but can read the run and affect on the pass.
Well, I got the big victory over Wilmington last week, but this week's focus is on Marietta. Here's a program that's really turned around. Tony, right? Up until maybe 2-3 years ago, Marietta was kind of a W. You had to play them, and they had good fight. But we found out, 2 years ago, they came in here and almost knocked us off.
Yes.
Last year they did, and now they're 4-0 on the year.
Yes.
So that's what can you expect from the Marietta offense?
Well, the number one thing is we got to stop Tanner Clark. He's their running back. So if we stop him, I believe that is the key to success of winning the football game. And
that's the thing. They have a good quarterback. We've faced a lot of good quarterbacks this year, but they have that really good, one of the top running backs in the league. So you really got to be ready for this team.
Us as linebackers have a big game ahead of us.
Yeah, that's right. And so they're a team that scores a lot of points, too. So you have to slow them down somehow.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, Tyler, thanks for joining us here tonight for the show. And best of luck. We'll talk to you then on Saturday afternoon, the first day game here at Herman Stadium of the year. You had the first 3 night games, and last week a day game at Wilmington, but the first day game of the year, middle of the season for you guys, so it should be exciting.
I'm very excited.
All right. We'll have you pass it off to Erik Hagedorn. We'll get him in here, your fellow linebacker, and we'll talk to him a little bit here on the Scott Donaldson Show. Erik, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Where's number 21? You are a senior.
Yes, sir.
And a fifth-year senior, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so was the 1 year, which would be last year, was you injured, not able to play? Or
Unable to play.
Okay, very good. All right, so 5th year, having a good year, west of Little North. And, I went to Ohio State many, many years ago. And ever since I left, it seems like there's more and more high schools being built,
Right.
that I wasn't used to. And I think when I went to school, there's only one Westerville school. Now there's South and North, right?
There's 3 right now, actually.
There's 3. Is there a Central?
Central, North, and South.
Isn't that something? Same with all the other suburbs and those high schools. But how about your experience in high school? Who was your coach? And I know you guys had, not the greatest of records, but I know you had fun on Friday nights. Who was your coach?
My coach is Robert Elander. Excellent coach. Obviously, we faced a lot of adversity with our records showing, but my senior year was our first win in 4 years. So that was a special moment for our high school and for us. So we tried to capitalize throughout the rest of the year and get a couple more wins, and that's what we did.
All right. How about, I ask every guest on the show how they made their way to Heidelberg University. So how did you make it here?
Right. So my senior year, I actually got injured. I was looking at other colleges, but I really didn't even know about Heidelberg or anything about Division III football until the upcoming year of my senior year. And my coach branched out to me, asked me if I wanted to be recruited by Division III schools, and I said yes. Obviously, I wanted to still continue to play. 2 schools were Mount Union and Heidelberg. Mount Union, great school, just wasn't it for me. I like the underdog, and that's why I came here.
All right, very good, and we're glad you did, that's for sure. It's a great campus here, and It's a college town with Tiffin University as well, and great facilities. So it makes Saturday afternoons and Saturday evenings a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah, for good. So everybody's focus is on Marietta. I asked the same question as we did of Tyler. It's going to be a challenge, especially for the linebackers, when you have a double threat of a really good passer and a great runner too.
Right. This game this week is going to be up front. It's going to mostly be relying on us, just because we're so versatile in our position where we have to be run first, but right when it's not run, we have to read pass. So they're really good at both. So we're going to have to stay on our toes for that this week.
And they can score the points, as I said, Tyler. So I'm sure you guys will be ready for it. Our next guest coming up will be Coach Ethan Nichol, and I'm sure this week you guys have been really working hard to get ready for this game.
Right, of course.
Every week you do, but has it been a good week of practice, a lot of good enthusiasm?
Oh, yeah, high energy, just like last week. So we're going to take this momentum that we have and go into this week and continue on the rest of the season.
Yeah, like I said, Marietta, an up-and-coming power, knocked you off last year down there.
Right.
A little surprising. They got the win a couple years ago, almost knocked you off. So it's a team that's really turned the corner, and we own them from last year, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. They have a lot of momentum, but we also do too. So we're going to see how that works out.
All right, very good. We've called Tyler's name a lot, but also Erik as well. Erik has 18 tackles on the year, and we've called his name out, number 21, a number of times this year, and did a great job. So keep up the good work, Erik, and
appreciate it.
We'll talk to you and see you then on Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, real good. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk more linebacking here at Heidelberg's football team with Coach Ethan Nichol. He coaches the linebackers, first year as a full assistant coach. We'll talk with him, and then we'll get back with Coach Donaldson and talk more specifics about the upcoming Marietta football game. We'll take a break right here on WTTF. We'll be right back. To the Berg Bistro. And again, if you didn't join us earlier, they're going to be adjusting their hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because this is a little small fall break for the students. They will not have classes tomorrow. Is that right, Robin? Not tomorrow? Okay. So the hours here tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday, 4 to 10 p.m. Normally, they're open Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10, Friday, 7 to midnight, Saturdays, 11 to midnight, and Sundays, 4 to 10. And as I told Coach, it's open to the public. Great place to hang out, have a drink, your favorite sandwich or meal, and whatever else, appetizers, you name it. They have specials. So they have great food here. So stop by anytime. All right, we have assistant coach. Every week we have a different assistant coach, and tonight is linebacker night. Ethan Nichol is joining us, and we'll get a little history about Ethan. A native of Delaware, Ohio, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What high school, Hayes, maybe?
Yes, sir.
All right, Delaware Hayes is your school, and went to the College of Worcester, and that's how you say it, the College of Worcester.
That is correct.
To play football and get a great education there as well. And what when did you choose College of Worcester for playing?
You know what? I'd just gone through the recruiting process, and that was a place that time and time again felt like home. And actually, the offensive coordinator there now, his name is Zach Dennis. He was the one who recruited me, and just did a great job of communicating things to me, and obviously understood what I was looking for in the school, and the rest is history. There you go. Part of the North Coast Athletic Conference, similar to the Ohio Athletic Conference, isn't it, for the most part, or I know it's division. Is the Division III? It is, sir. Yes. Yeah, okay. And you see a lot of good schools over there. Wittenberg in that conference as well. You'll see Wabash over in Indiana. So there's definitely some quality football over that way as well. Yeah, no doubt about it. And Ohio schools, Denison, Ohio Wesleyan, Oberlin, Hiram, and Kenyon. So the smaller schools that Ohio Athletic Conference doesn't have, the North Coast Athletic Conference does as well. So very competitive year. And when you were playing there, I think the way I marked it down, 2012 through the 2015, right? Correct. Okay. Had some good teams. Had some teams that were a little, not too many wins, but I think your
junior year, your team went 7-3.
That is correct. Actually, the biggest turnaround in school history. Coach Colpree came in, and we were very fortunate to have some success that year.
Now, you played defensive back all 4 years there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And then you were named to the NCAC Academic Honor Roll 3 times. That's great. Member of the, I think that's the National Football Foundation Hampshire Honor Society. So that's great. You can look at your statistics as a football player, but this means as much, if not more, to be academically involved, right, and honored.
No doubt about it. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am here today. So that degree opened a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities for me.
So you decided to get your master's degree here and also be a graduate assistant, right?
Yes, sir. It was
the last couple of years.
Yep, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity. Again, without that, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
All right. So you're part of that defensive coaching system the last couple of years, and you help coach a really good defense. Boy, you put a lot of talent on those teams the last couple of years. 84 tackles for loss, 3 defensive touchdowns, the true previous years.
Yeah, and that's honestly a credit to all these coaches, number one, for recruiting such great guys across Ohio, be it Cleveland, Toledo, Columbus, Cincinnati, and even, abroad, whether it's Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, you name it. We've done a great job. And then once they got on campus, these coaches have done a phenomenal job of building up that talent, honing in on that skill. And obviously the numbers speak to that.
Okay, this year, 2018, earlier this year, you were named as a full-time assistant coach, and I'm sure you're really excited about that, aren't you?
It is nice. I don't feel the financial pressure that I used to, and by no means am I sitting on a wad of money, but I'm not pinching pennies like I was. So
yeah, that's a good thing. And now you're in charge of the linebackers, and besides Tyler and Erik there, talk about some of the other linebackers you have, whether they're starters or guys that have really come up, did the job, and are young, maybe the freshmen and the sophomores.
Well, I'll tell you, Tyler had mentioned it earlier that the previous year's linebackers had set such a great precedent for this group. And so there's guys in the room like Jack Haley, like Gabe Smythe, who he mentioned, who understand not only that this is a fraternity in this position, but there's a way we go about things. And they've done a great job communicating it. And you start to see some of the other guys picking it up. Erik obviously made the transition from safety to linebacker. He's embraced it wholeheartedly. Dylan Martyr is another guy that's not only embraced it, but he's done it at a very high level. DeMonte Richmond has been a part of the linebacking core the last year. He's actually a sophomore now from Cleveland Glenville. And then some of the young guys you see are not only picking it up, but they're picking it up quickly. Corey Stallings from Cloverleaf, Mason Haywood, Alex Chalfant, who actually was a really good running back down the Johnstown area, made the transition to the defensive side of the ball collegiately, and even he's making a lot of great strides on the opposite side of the ball. We've got a couple guys who've gotten banged up that are younger, but nonetheless, in the limited amount of time we've seen them, they've been great. Stephen Murillo and Trent Kaufman as well. All of them have some really bright futures.
Well, as we talked about your 2 players here, about Marietta, they have a unique threat because they're a good passing team and a good rushing team with some talented guys. So, especially the linebacker core this week really is going to have to be ready.
No doubt about it. Really, the front 7 is going to determine this defense's success. Thankfully, we've got a great group of defensive linemen playing in front of us, the likes of Matt Davenport, Colin Pecoraro, and the likes of that whole defensive line that's coached up by Coach Blake and Coach Donaldson. They've done a great job, and they help make our job a little bit easier. But, yeah, they've done a great job. I feel proud as a coach. We stress film study all week long, and you talk about some of the things that we're going to key in on, and here they are regurgitating it to you live on air. That's good to hear.
Oh, that's good to hear, yeah. This team averages, Marietta, by the way, about 45 points a game. They're undefeated. They've beaten Geneva out of Pennsylvania. Capital in a wild game, 51-50. They beat Muskingum 46-20 on the road. And another 1-point home victory over Ohio Northern, 43-42. So Ohio Northern was ranked nationally, knocked them off by 1.
No doubt, this is a team we'll be facing that's certainly been battle-tested, and it's going to prove to be an exciting matchup because we feel we've been battle-tested too. Obviously the Olivet game coming from behind and playing a little bit of a thriller there with Capital as well.
Right.
So we've definitely got we've got some grit about us, both sides of the ball.
Oh, no doubt. You both have won close games for sure, so it should be a great battle. Last year, they got your number a little bit, one down there, and like I mentioned once or twice, is 2 years ago, they came in here, almost upset a really good Heidelberg team. So, they're for real, and their coaching staff, Andy Waddle's been there for 5 years. This is his 5th year, but he has really turned it around because when he got there, they didn't have too many wins, through the years.
Sure, and again, that's a credit to not only how they've recruited, but how they've put their guys in a position to do well. And I think you can see in their offense some of the things they're doing with their quarterback and their running back, really playing to their strengths. And again, you see in their record, you see in some of their statistics, it's paying dividends for them.
Fields is a quarterback with in 4 games over 1,000 yards of passing and 10 touchdowns and only the 1 interception. And then Clark, the running back, with just about 700 yards so far with 11 touchdowns. So between those two guys right there, responsible for 21 touchdowns. And we're only talking, now we're entering the 5th week of the season.
Yeah, that is eye-opening to say the least.
No doubt.
But you have that in this conference, You find that this is kind of the pinnacle of this level of college football in this conference. And, you don't earn that reputation by trotting scrubs out onto the field. And certainly those guys are, great representations of the Ohio Athletic Conference.
Heidelberg's had more veteran teams over the last few years, more of a mixture this year with a number of young players. But I like, the way I've been doing this for a while, but I think the enthusiasm of this year's team is really outstanding.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there is a lot of maybe inexperience, in certain positions, and maybe even guys that we're asking to do some things that they maybe haven't done in the past. And they've really not only accommodated for that inexperience and that transition with great attitude, great mentality, and sure, the athleticism helps, but their passion for the game, their thirst to learn and really pick up the system itself, whether it's offensively or defensively, has really smoothed out this transition. And you can see the passion, on the sideline when we're in the thick of things or following a big score, a big play. They all get to the party box. They kind of have their celebration together, and that really brings them together as a team. This team is different than I think any other I've been a part of. And I know that's, typical for coaches to say, but this one's legitimate.
And I'm sure that, the veterans on this team, the seniors like Erik, are helping out. I know the coaches can only do so much. You guys work hard, but sometimes on the field, especially during a game, it's that senior with the freshman or the sophomore, helping out.
No doubt. And again, we've been blessed with tremendous leadership across the board. Trace Reynolds is a consummate leader. Colin Pecoraro, Brad Weinhold, Braden Jerome, and Jordan Green. And to say that they were clear-cut, favorites for the captain's role would be an understatement. Those guys are the picturesque representation of what you need from a captain, and they live it, I can't speak enough to what they do for this team and the example they set each and every day. And they all have different leadership characteristics about them. And I think that's what makes that group so special. Some guys know how to be a little bit more vocal. Some guys know how to do it through their service. And some guys know how to do it just with their play. And that in itself is a really special thing for me to observe day in, day out at practice and in the weight room or you name it.
Yeah, captains are very important for a football team. Not only, the most popular guys get chosen to be a captain, but like you said, a lot of factors, including leadership.
Right, they are complete in almost each sense as a group.
All right, very good. So we look forward to Saturday's game at Herneman Stadium across the street from right here at the Berg Bistro. 1:30 kickoff and a toughie. It'll be Marietta coming in at undefeated. They're 4-0 on the year, 3-0 in the OAC. But, if you're a good football player and a good football team, you love challenges.
100%. Yep. These are the moments you live for.
That's right. And if you don't get excited, then I'm not sure what's the deal. So it should be a great one. So Ethan Nichol, our guest. We're going to take a break. And we'll be back with a wrap-up with Coach Scott Donaldson, the head coach, and we'll talk more about the Marietta game coming up and a few more things. And we'll take a break right now. Be right back. This is WTTF. Okay, welcome back to the Berg Bistro 1850 here in the heart of campus, University Commons here. Well, Coach Scott Donaldson, we've talked to you every show, of course, but we've talked to Coach Jacobson, two Lewises. We have to point that out.
The brothers.
Yeah, Jason Lewis and Jamar Lewis.
Yeah.
Ethan Nichol, and then Tom Coughlin last week. So we got basically your 5 kind of full-time guys covered this year, and now you have some graduate assistants. As you pointed out, Jake Jenny is a student assistant, and even Troy Albright is a volunteer assistant. So, and he comes in and helps out too, as well. So you have a lot of support.
Oh, absolutely. We're really blessed to have the, from the school, just being able to support us through our staffing. I mean, we have one of the largest staffs probably in Division III. I mean, there's not too many schools that have 6 full-time coaches and 4 GAs. I mean, and GAs, let's face it, they're full-time coaches. I just don't have to pay them.
Yeah,
they get paid through the grad school. But to have 10 coaches in the office every single day, because obviously, John, our winning is not our main goal. Our main goal is developing, and you can't develop young men without being there for them when they need you. When they need you during the day to help with classes, to help with whatever's going on. So really blessed to have that staff, and we're really blessed to have an unbelievable staff. I know me and Tony were just talking about this. Personally, for me, I've had the most fun this year. I've had a long time. It's just they're great guys on this staff that care about their players, and they're just a blast to be around. I mean, you sit in our staff meetings, and it's like a half-hour comedy show, usually led by Coach Nichol, and but I wouldn't suggest going in there.
Well, I've noticed that too. I really have. Doing this for about 10 years, and every team's different. You ask a coach, every year is a little bit different. But this year I just feel, a little bit more enthusiasm and, the great optimism with this team and and all that. And it shows on the sidelines, when you score, the guys get excited and everything. Not that they didn't in the past, but you just feel a little extra, I think.
Yeah, and I think that just – that's because of this team so close. They really are just close. And the freshmen have done a great job getting ingratiated into this program, not just what we're doing and offensively, defensively, and academically, but just the feel and the attitude of the team. They did a great job of getting ingratiated in that, and you can see that on the sidelines. I mean, the party box is rolling every touchdown, and it's fun. It really is. This season has been fun, win or lose. Our guys have been having a blast, and that's what coaching's about. I mean, that's why I do this job. If I didn't want to have fun every day, I'd go get a real job and make real money.
Boy, looking over the stat sheet, offensively and defensively, you've had to play a lot of players, and that's always a good thing. A number of different rushers, receivers, total offense, and then look at this defense. All the guys have made at least one tackle. It's very long.
Yeah. Yep. Especially early in the season, you want to rotate to keep guys fresh. But we're able to do that. We're not going to play unless you're ready to play. But there's been a lot of guys that are ready to play and get their opportunity, and that's the fun part about coaching. You get to see guys take opportunities and kind of see how far they take it.
Well, another home game here at the Berg, across the street at Herneman Stadium with a new field turf this year. That's always good, and risen field. But your athletic director, Matt Palm and everybody else has made it a point to have something special every home game of the 5 games. And this week it's Local Community Business Day and Youth Sports Day. And you can't thank the local community businesses enough because, this is not a huge town, and they're called upon to support not only Heidelberg, but Tiffin University and Calvert and Columbian and all the small kids and all that. So they've really, stepped up and supported everybody in this town.
Yeah, absolutely. The businesses are unbelievable in Tiffin. And whether it's the small mom and pop shops or the tiny little restaurant on the corner or some of these big franchises coming in, they really try to get involved in the community as much as possible. And it's really easy to get involved through athletics. And that's why we're really highlighting it this week with not only thanking the local businesses that support us, but also getting the youth sports around, whatever we can do, whether it's the TFFL, and Mr. Shoemaker does a great job running the Little League around town, whether it's the Babe Ruth that my son's in, or the YMCA flag football that my son's in, or whatever we can do to show that this really is a tight-knit community.
And no doubt about it, the Youth Sports Day, either, the first or second year for that?
The first year.
First year?
Yeah, we're trying
and
it
I
out.
heard the kids are all going to make a tunnel for you guys.
I hope so. I hope there's
or
enough
at least
of
they're
them.
going to try it.
Yeah, we're going to try it. So it'd be really cool. And I think obviously I think it's going to be cool for the kids, just seeing our guys and how they play and how they act. But I think it's going to be great for our guys, for our team, just seeing the little kids and how much these kids really look up to the college football players. I mean, you don't realize it. I mean, my son is sitting right in front of me. I mean, his best friends are on my football team.
Yeah.
He's got about 17 handshakes with all of them. I mean, he really does look up to these guys. So it's good to get those guys out because, being a college football player means something. And it really does mean something in Tiffin. I know that.
And for little kids, it's neat just to go down the field and be part of it, go on the field and, at least for one time and see what it's all like. And maybe they've never been here before. Chances are some of them have never been on campus or even though in the area or been at the football stadium.
Yep. And that's why we want to get as many people out as we can. We're having actually the Little League's championship games are going to be on our field on the 21st of October on a Sunday. We're actually having Calvert's JV game. We're getting a couple of Calvert games next year, varsity games. So whatever we can do to get the community out to our campus is a positive for us.
No doubt about it. Before we run out of time, let's talk about the Marietta Pioneers. And I don't want to repeat myself, but Coach Andy Waddle, has done a really good job turning this program around. And, when you go into a program, it takes a while. This is his fifth year, but things started to come around for him 2 years ago, and then last year with a winning record. And this is a program that didn't have a whole lot of wins in the last 10 years.
No, not at all. And Andy's done a great job. And, kind of knowing what Marietta's about and where to recruit. And, they're good. They're very good. They're very experienced right now. It's really not, like you said, the past 10 years, it's really rare to going against Marietta and they have more experience than you. That usually doesn't really happen. So, obviously they got us last year. You know what I mean? So that's kind of just added fuel to the fire to our kids this week in practice, and you can really feel that.
For sure, and I don't want to repeat myself again, but dual threat with passing with Fields and the running with Clark. And it's our main goal is to stop the run. That's their bread and butter on offense. I know the stats are pretty even, but they're a running football team. And if you can stop the run, you can force them into passing situations and make that quarterback be a pure passer. Then we're going to be having a lot of fun on Saturday. If they're getting in third and shorts consistently on defense, we're going to be up against it. So it's really about stopping the run on those early downs, forcing them into those 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 8s, and things like that, to where we can get our speed on the field and have some fun and go attack the quarterback, because he is shifty. I'll be honest with you, he is shifty. We call him the Marietta Magician. Obviously, we have our nicknames. The Marietta Magician. He gets out of some sacks like I've never seen before in my life. I mean, that kid can make 12 guys miss in a phone booth. But he's not a runner. He's really not a runner. He's just so shifty that, we got to be able to really send a lot of people at him to get him down. We've talked mostly tonight about your defense, but your offense has a lot of bright spots. Trace Reynolds being his senior year, hadn't played much before this. But what a great job he's done, not only passing the ball, being very efficient last week, but, running the ball effectively as well.
Absolutely. I think you saw last week a better balanced offense, because we're able to run the ball more. And Trace, you want to get that balance where he's running the ball to get those big plays, but we're not having to rely on his legs to get us first downs consistently. And that's what we want to see this week. We want to see Trace just be a game manager. I don't want Trace to win the game for us. I want Trace to just be a manager and distribute the ball evenly to get our athletes to football and get it in the end zone.
And we talked earlier about Brandon Short and Jace Grossman in the backfield, but your receiving core, every week you get, a little bit more experience with Maceo Matthews, and then Dimitri Pinnick has a couple catches along with Theodore Tate, and Nichol for your tight end. So it's good to get a few more guys in the mix.
Absolutely. Every single game you're going to see this team grow. And obviously you're going to see that everywhere, but it's going to be more significant with us because we're so young. And every single game, these guys are getting better, and especially that receiving core. Obviously, Braden being the fifth-year senior, being the grandfather of that unit, he's not even the dad. He's the grandfather already. He's steady Eddie. He's going to do exactly what he does every week and be a problem for defenses every week. But you're seeing Maceo and Meach and Kofor especially, and Teddy and Satchel's back this week. So you're seeing a lot of guys really get significantly better every single week. It's really fun to see.
And we can't forget Kevon Belcher as well, because he's one of your fastest guys on the team, right?
Yeah, Kevon, he's a great leader too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Coach, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us as always here, and we're going to get ready for the game on Saturday. I think you guys are all ready to go. What do you do on Fridays, just for a last question? You back it off, obviously, but what kind of practices do you have on Fridays?
We actually started something new. We did it because we had to the first week. We couldn't get a night practice in. We were playing at night, so let's have to go Friday morning. So we went at 6 in the morning just to get some practice under the lights, get the returners catching some footballs, and because it is very different. And then after that week, I'm talking to the captains, and I'm like, guys, I loved that. Like, so did we. So we tomorrow, because we don't have classes, we're going a little later at 9 in the morning, but we practice in the mornings on Friday. Get it out of the way, go at 6:45 to 7:30. Just a quick walkthrough, just to make sure everyone's mentally buttoned up. But the nice part about that, you do that in the morning, then you really kind of have about 36 hours off your feet. And our guys' afternoons are free, so they can get out to high school games if they want, and things like that. But from what I've heard, all our guys really like it. Our guys are used to waking up in the morning anyway. We're morning people. We're doing something at 7 a.m. every day, so they're kind of used to it.
All right, good luck. And folks out there, if you can make the game, please do so. It kicks off at 1:30, Marietta at Heidelberg. If not, you can tune in to AM 1600, FM 93.3, and on the web at WTTF.com. All right, thanks to everyone who joined us here tonight for the show. Coach Scott Donaldson, assistant coach Ethan Nichol, and our two linebackers, Erik Hagedorn and Tyler Matuszak. This is John Kern saying so long, and we'll talk to you Saturday afternoon across the street at Herman Stadium. Have yourself a great Thursday night.
Thanks for listening to this evening's Scott Donaldson Show from the Berg Bistro. Tonight's show has been brought to you by the Berg Bistro and these community-minded sponsors: Kimmel Cleaners, Harrison Price Insurance, National Machinery, Subway of Tiffin, Tiffin Brake and Wheel, and the Tiffin Buffalo Wild Wings. Join us again next time as we talk Heidelberg football on the Scott Donaldson Show here on WTTF, AM 1600, FM 93.3, and on the web at WTTF.com.